Hello and welcome to the Chit Chat. Today we're going to be doing our spoiler-heavy review of Pandemic Legacy Season 2. So if you don't want any spoilers, stop watching right now! I'm Amanda.
And I'm Adam.
And let's begin!
Spoilers.
Spoilers. You will die.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll enjoy it.
I mean, we have an in memoriam section from our game.
Yes.
Two of us are deceased. I believe it's actually the husband and wife combo here. We had a novice player and another Legacy 1 veteran that survived us. One was disoriented and lost at sea, but survived.
Survived, yes.
And we tried to sacrifice him multiple times.
Multiple times. He was the one that took all the risks.
He was.
And he made it through.
To be fair, I may have injected myself with a poisonous substance at a certain portion.
We're not going to talk about that. Things happen. In
yes.
Post-apocalyptic world, No blame is being laid anywhere.
I did it voluntarily, but the fever got to me eventually.
Yes.
Okay, so let's dive in. Top of the game here. Set 71 years after the close of the Other. We are the Fated.
We are the Fated.
Or the whatever they called us. Yes. We're the translucent skinned people. I didn't even know that. I didn't know.
Yeah, the art for all of your characters are either covered in paint or
face masks.
I
had no idea.
And we just thought it was because they were all in the desert and protecting their skin. But no, it turns out we're the Fated, and so we are
can't tan your organs. Shouldn't tan your organs. Yeah. Always bad.
The Fated. So that's the story. It's after the Other season leaves off. A bunch of Fated are
trapped on these havens.
Trapped on havens. Out
in the middle of the sea where it's no sickness.
And we have survived, but we're running out of food, water, supplies. And so we have to go explore the world to try to find a cure for the fated disease, the Coda disease from Season 1, and find supplies.
It's very true. Yep. Finding some supplies. We're running out of supplies mostly. We are mostly just trying to reestablish our supply lines. We're trying to reconnect with lost havens and things of that nature. So let's talk. In this, you basically reveal different areas by spending cards of a certain color, but you have to have a research or supply center there first.
So that feels kind of like Season 1. You build a building, and then you spend multiple cards there. But thematically, you're reconning that area.
And there are 4 available at the very first of the game. So your money may vary. You may go after something different than everybody else did. Now, the blue, basically North America, easy first to go. I think almost everybody does that first. But you can deviate from there pretty quickly. And with the upgrades, there's one that says, you need 1 less card.
Right. So the black recon area needs 4 different cities, and you only start out with 3 black cities. So you think it's impossible to recon that area. So maybe they don't want you to do it first. But you can get around it because you can take an upgrade that will allow you to technically be able to recon there.
Right. Find 1 new black city. Go for it. Also, I think there's another way to reduce it by 1 somehow, something of that nature. So basically, you could end up, in theory, doing black third, second. You could do it second, because you could do the yellow area first. You could take that upgrade. You could do the yellow. And then you could go to black. Now, we didn't. We did North America, South America, Egypt, Middle East kind of area. And then into Tehran in the black area as well before moving through.
So the black card recon was our last one, and turns out that was a good idea.
Yeah, it turns out it was a good idea. We honestly pity any of you who have decided to do black too early, because releasing the Hollow Men here, releasing the people trying to kill us, was
the Hollow Men gather.
Fairly devastating. It all of a sudden really felt like it came in your face. Now, whereas the supplies were such a huge thing going early on. Can
we talk about that? Yeah, how your supplies dwindle and dwindle. And when we first opened the map and we saw that in November you get like four supplies, in December you don't get any. And we were very worried for sure, because those supplies get very spread out, especially as you're exploring the map.
Right.
And then you add more and more cities you have to protect, and you have less and less supplies to protect them with.
And this is also something that ended up being really important, because we've talked to other people who have played the game who are relatively far through or have completed it. And this is where I think listening to the story, listening to the cards was so important, because the metagame in this is heavy. And what I mean when I say metagame, I keep saying metagame, is that the overarching game, so from game to game, all 12, all 18, all however many you play, the entire game takes strategy. Not just strategy to win each game. If you're purely just shooting to win that game, you very likely could still lose the entire scenario, or you could get into a position where you're locking yourself out of completing objectives that you're going to see later.
That's fair.
You need to be listening to the story. So early on, all of a sudden it says, connect 2 cities to the grid, or explore a region. Well, if you haven't connected enough cities to the grid and you need to explore a region, well, you might not actually have 5 yellow cards. You might not have 5 black cards that are all from different cities.
Yes.
So just having 5 black cards is not terribly hard, but having them all from different cities is.
And that's a very good point, because we have heard people from other groups say that they say one of your goals for that month was to connect cities to the grid. And they didn't focus on that. They played a few games and didn't connect very many cities. And then later it came back to bite them. So the game really does try to help you out by leading you toward. So rather than it just being, a tedious task you have to do, rather than it being, meaningless flavor, it really is important for the strategy and important for the game.
Now, and I think they said they didn't do it, and I think most people who aren't doing it are, because your supplies go down. And so the more cities you add to the grid, the harder it is to manage, because your supplies are going down. You're going to be placing cubes and plague cubes on them if there are enough supplies there to treat the disease as it tries to spread. And so I think some people's strategy was win this game by keeping it as low as possible. But again, if you're not expanding, you're not going to get extra supplies, because as most of us probably know, so by the time we got to January, February, March, you're already running fairly low on supplies.
Stretched very thin.
Especially if you're exploring. But part of the story talks about all these possible lost havens. And it'll tell you where some lost havens are. So there might be a lost haven off the coast of, California. Or around South America. And there are a lot of searches you can do on the cards that allowed you to find that. And they gave you an extra 15 supplies per month.
Yes, we had gotten so discouraged. We had actually lost our first game, and we were very close to losing again. We were so discouraged that this was going to be the hardest season of pandemic. And then finally, we found the haven, and we were so relieved at the discovery of 15 extra supplies that we named our haven New Hope.
Yeah, it helped a lot.
It gave us a renewed confidence that we could win the next month.
To be fair, we lost 3 times the entire time. So us feeling stressed out was probably a little overdone for us. We felt more stressed than we needed to.
But it feels tight.
When you're
playing those games and you see all these cities that have no supplies and that are vulnerable, it feels really tight. Labs
were also a big deal too, though. So again, not only just does it feel tight, like, are you moving towards goals? So it spoilers you that there's a lab out here, there's havens out here, and we did consistently work towards those. We took the story to heart, we moved towards it. I think the first lab we opened was in South America, and I think again that's probably going to be common for people if they're finding it at all. If they're exploring it all, they're probably going to find that one first. But that one allowed you to only have to clear off a certain amount of plague cube, or a certain amount of supplies, that is, when you're dealing from the bottom. And some of them made you fairly immune to other things, and so those were really big and really positive.
Not only do the labs help with the story and give you extra characters in case your characters die, but it does also help give you extra powers throughout the game.
Though we didn't use any of the characters we found in the labs. I thought that was a little bit interesting. So our tactic and our strategy throughout the game was to use what is virtually the dispatcher power, the power who can move people to and from other pawns. We used that heavily. We used the farmer, so I considered the farmer to be the most similar to the medic, but they were just able to deliver the volume of supply cubes.
More
they could take
efficient,
care of emergencies.
More efficient at delivering supplies.
And then we had, so basically we had somebody who could move around just faster. We focused on allowing them to move additional spaces and to take additional actions. Their power was to give cards. Now that was used pretty not very often. So we made them a navigator. We made them able to draw routes cheaper. And then we had somebody who was basically able to just create copious amounts of supplies and distribute them. So we had one person kind of on supply distribution to us, to the players, one person on actual supply delivery, one person on just moving people about the board, and then one person on drawing and exploring and doing the new routes.
Right.
Now, I think that was pretty good. We doubled down on that. We gave the farmer a runner power, so discard a card to go anywhere. And so it was there were so much of the Band-Aid to the game the whole time. That saved us many times from losing.
And also the ability to distribute supplies to adjacent cities.
Yep.
Also helped with efficiency.
Especially once you opened up the old area that Coda had been, where there were infested cities that had disease in them.
You didn't always want to be in those cities, so the ability to not have to go there and back out, just to be able to, put supplies there without going there was very helpful.
Right. So what do you think about the recovering city mechanism throughout the game? So as you left supply centers, permanent supply centers in them, etc., when you ended games, they increased the population. Now that didn't affect too much during the game, but it did affect your score at the end. What do you think about that? I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I know throughout the game we were really worried about having any fallen cities. And so I think that leaving the supply centers there to increase the population for free really did help us to be able to use our points. What are those? Our upgrade points.
Sure.
For character upgrades rather than using them to save all of our cities. Yeah. So that was helpful.
We also supplied those cities less later because we knew, hey, if you're going to get a plague cube there, well, I'm okay with that because the population won't go down.
Right. We had, 4 or 5 cities at the end that were
max population.
I
don't think we didn't have a single city fall until the very final game, and we had 1 city fall in our very final game.
Right.
Mostly it was just a mad dash, and we abandoned it. We probably could have saved it, but it would have risked the game, and that wasn't worth it at that point. So what else? So big reveal story moments in the game. Well, actually, let's talk about the stressful part. You wanted to talk about scars and the way they did scars in this game and the mechanism for that. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things about how they incorporated the personalization. So everybody had a character, just a blank card. There were, 10 of them?
Yeah, I mean, it's spoilers. They probably know that.
Yeah, so you deal them out randomly, and then you make your character on it. But then the scratch-offs, you never know whenever you get exposed if you're going to have no bad outcomes, if you're going to get a scar and have to, cover up one of your abilities, or if you're going to die.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really added to the experience, because every single time you got exposed, you knew that there was a risk you could die.
Right.
And so it made us more cautious, I feel like. It made the idea of getting exposed more weighty, which I felt like was more thematic.
Right. Also, you think they're going to go easy on you.
Yeah.
They won't kill you till the end.
Like,
it'll be scar and no scar.
Most of them will be like, you know, death at, 6 or 7. You know, they only tell you that
you could die
could be any time. But no,
you can die pretty early.
You can die pretty early. And I
think at 4?
We experienced it, when 2 of our characters died.
Deadsies.
Yeah.
Deadwood, whatever you want to say, died.
Yeah.
At 4. Not good. I had 1 scar.
They're not joking. At the end, we did scratch off all of them on our characters, I think, just to kind of see. Nobody died at 1.
Right. That was not a thing. I do think 3 or 4 was the earliest anyone in our game could die. Yeah. And so that wasn't really that bad, but it is unexpected. Some of them died at 7. Some of them died at the max.
Yeah, some of them did. But I thought that was an interesting and creative way to add a little bit more excitement to the game, is just add that every time you get exposed, you have the risk that this could be your last exposure. And then all of your upgrades would be just wasted. All of your strategy, you'd have to start over with a new character. And so I liked that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did too. I thought it was interesting. Mm-hmm. So big reveal moments, and overall story. So for me, I think the big reveal moment was that we needed to inject ourselves with the disease and run mad dash to a specific location. Now, Johannesburg, we had already had a research station there and things, so we
got very lucky.
We got a little lucky.
We had a permanent research station in Johannesburg, which worked out because in order to win, you had to have a station there.
Right.
But it was still not easy. Whenever I saw the last objective, I was like, oh, we have this in the bag. We already have the research station. That's like 1/3 of the way there. We just have to get to Utopia and get out.
We'd drawn a lot of routes too. So it was minimal, but
it was difficult.
Needing a card for every move.
Yes.
Not being able to move any other way. Having so many infected cities in between there. That's where the bunkers basically came so heavily in play. We basically ended up playing a ton of those out, and that was interesting and weird. So what was your biggest reveal moment? Was that the same for you? Was it different?
I feel like that was definitely the biggest reveal. You know, that was not expected at all. I thought another big reveal was whenever you recon the black area of the map and you have the Hollowman Gather card. I thought it definitely changed the feel of the game to have those cards in there.
It changes your focus.
Yeah.
I mean, you're used to be worried about plague cubes, and the more of those cards, plague cubes are not as much of an issue anymore.
Yeah. Although sometimes it was a relief to get the Hollowman Gather card because you have a very small amount of plague cubes you can place. And so it was...
Sometimes the hollow were just better.
Sometimes it was better because, you didn't have to worry about losing the game based on running out of plague cubes. But I thought those were the two bigger reveals. Also the reveal that, we're the Fated. That was interesting for the story.
And I guess that was somewhat implied throughout the whole time, but I was still kind of shocked when that was flat out said. I didn't make that connection.
And that the Hollow Men are actually just regular people that had kind of...
trying to kill us, because they thought we were
still the bad people from Season 1.
Right.
And so, they had just, walled themselves off and...
Word game racism. Don't like the translucent skin people.
Exactly,
It's very odd.
We're people too.
Right.
We're just trying to survive.
Exactly. I just want to help you cure the disease. Come on now. But it was definitely interesting. There's going to be a Season 3 that's already been spoilered. That's interesting. I was a little disappointed in the final lab. So the third lab in the red area, it was somewhat cumbersome to do.
Oh.
And so you had to go through multiple like searches with cards, etc. to do it. Now, we didn't manage it. I'm so glad we didn't. I feel like the time you'd have to invest to get it, you would never get paid out by what that lab was. I was very disappointed in that lab.
I mean, by the time we were even over to that part of the world, it was what, October?
Maybe September or October.
Maybe.
It was late.
So we at that point we were focusing much more on getting to Utopia and getting to the end game than we were to research that last lab. And so I don't know if we just should have been more efficient.
What's hard though, because
if it's like a red herring where you
shouldn't do it.
You really shouldn't go there because it'll just distract you from your main objective. So I'd like to see people comment on if you did
and how it worked out for you.
If you did find time to go
found it useful.
to that third lab, the third lab, or if you thought it was a waste of your time and a distraction you shouldn't have done if you regretted it.
Yeah, I mean, fourth lab is technically the main cure.
Yeah.
You know, and I just felt like it was poorly designed, that lab in particular. Again, we lost 3 games, so we could not have played that poorly. I feel like that's a fairly high win rate. Also, one of the games we lost was our very first one we played a rule wrong, and that was our bad. But I don't know. I mean, I did enjoy that aspect. I enjoyed all those themes. I thought the foreshadowing was interesting. So let's talk about the red glowing lake.
Oh.
So was that foreshadowing, or was that just you can't draw a line here? I thought it was foreshadowing.
See, the whole time I saw the red glow, and I was like, I want to go there. What is that? And then come to find out, you can't go there in season 2, but it is going to be meaningful for season 3. Is the word on the street?
So that's the implication, anyway. So my speculation is nuclear fallout or something. And I'm not sure what I would like to see, but I think that might be a cause.
Yeah, because I definitely assumed when we started season 2 that we would open up the entire map, that at the end of the game we would have the entire world, and we definitely did not. We did, and at the end of season 2, there's still a lot of the world left undiscovered, and so that's just going to be interesting how that comes into season 3.
There were also some interesting, I thought, necessarily like just little nods to players. Or things that were funny. So we had a card, and we're like, well, how would we have scratched this off? I have no idea how we would have scratched this off. I don't know. So we scratched it off, and it's like, we didn't tell you to scratch this off.
Yeah.
It's literally all it said under the card. And I was like, oh, well, but I wanted to. And but I wanted to. So I thought that was funny. There are also a couple of like little stickers that you can find in your dossier. So if you open the dossier at the very end, if you open all the other things, there are multiple stickers that you'd find.
Yes, so there are some doors.
They're nothing.
That it never tells you to open. And so at the end of the game, when we had finished and we had won, we were like, what is this one? Like, so we opened the door, and it was just nothing. It was just a little sticker with a boat on it. Oh, okay.
I mean, it was interesting. Okay, so final thoughts. How did you feel about the story of this game? Did it move fast enough? Was it paced well enough? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the story was excellent. Like, you had small, achievable goals. Explore more of the world, and as you explore more, it opens up more questions. And I thought the story progressed at a nice pace. You got a couple bigger reveals, but in general, just the whole time you're playing, it was just exciting.
I'll say I wish some of the searches had more to them. Some of them were a little lackluster, but outside of that, I agree with you. I thought the story was pretty great.
Yeah, some of the searches we did were frustrating because we did them like at the very end of the game, and then it just gave you more supplies or something. So
it just wasn't helpful.
This is useless because we don't need supplies anymore. The game's over.
Give your action back, maybe.
Yeah.
If you've already done this, take your action back.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was okay. Yeah, some of the searches were huge, like, find this lab.
Yeah.
And some of them were just...
Or at least give you a clue to where a lab might be. We're kind of cool.
Some of the searches were just like, oh, you find 3 supplies. And it's like, well, that was anticlimactic.
We named all our little guys that we'd found, which I thought was fun.
Some of the searches helpers.
Yeah.
That, you know, would give you little extra abilities if you had them in your hand. And we gave them all little names so that we could refer to them to each other. It's like, oh, I have Plumette, so that means that I can.
We had a Disney theme going.
Yes, Disney theme.
There was Agrabah. Jafar was in the game. Jafar was Near and Jafar to us. But anyway, it was an interesting game. We definitely went with a Disney theme.
Yep.
And
my
and
character was Nemo.
My character was the only non-Disney named person. I have had a fantasy name I've used long term, and so I broke the mold, and that was my bad.
In all fairness, I think you named your character before we had decided on the Disney theme. So
I did. I jumped the gun.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be different. What do you think? Is there anything else we want to talk about, spoiler-wise or story-wise or any of that? Do you think we should wrap up here?
I mean, I think that's mostly all I had to say.
All right, we've covered it. We would love to know any of the experiences that you've all had with the game. I think it's just interesting to know.
Yeah.
Tell us your stories. Let us know what happened. If you have a funny moment or whatever, we'd love to hear it. So, other than that, have a great time gaming. And if you like this video, please like and or subscribe to our channel. We'll be giving you content every week. Have a great day.